Hey guys, I have a story about a bucket. And all of you that have been with me have learned that every dog has a bucket. Some are small, some are big. And it just depends on your dog how quickly that bucket will fill up. Lots of things go into the bucket, good things, bad things, little things, big things. And most often it's those little things that fill our buckets, our dogs' buckets, but big things can as well. So yesterday, took Mia out in the early morning to go to the bathroom. I wasn't ready for her to be off on property, so she was on a line, and she was out with my other dogs, Cadence and Dutch, and it was pretty normal morning. We had some quail out there, and then there was a hawk that flew over, and that kind of stuff. So little tiny things going into her bucket. Well, we noticed my dogs, Cadence and Dutch, noticed something was going on, and that got Mia's attention right away too. And the neighbor's their dogs had gotten out and were actually on the road in front of the property. And so there were cars like slowing down and people trying to get them to get out of the road. The dogs came back onto their property and started barking at my dogs. I called Dutch and Katie off, and they came because they're pretty good at disengaging. Not completely. I would have liked to see them not pay attention to that at all. But they came. Well, I started calling Mia, and she did not hear me at all because her bucket had filled immediately with that situation. The neighbor dogs weren't where they were supposed to be, and they were barking. And so immediately her bucket that was getting little bits filling it in all of a sudden went completely full, and she was barking and lunging and all this stuff. So I had to actually, let's like pick her up. She wasn't going to hear me, so I picked her up and I brought her inside. I started using something called a calm marker. This is just giving long strokes down her body, talking to her quietly, and she actually calmed down fairly quickly. And so little bits were coming out of her bucket, and she was doing good. But then my dad came out of her room, and he's a bucket filler for her. Came out of his room, and his door made a noise, and I knew, oh, I got to get her moving because her bucket started to fill again. So we started doing figure eight. So this is another thing that she's used to. And we were walking figure eights around. And again, she was kind of starting to calm doing that. And I thought, okay, good. Little tiny bits are coming out of her bucket. I need to take her outside so that she can go to the bathroom. So I knew I couldn't just like walk outside and immediately her bucket would fill again. We went and we did our protocol that I do with her at the door, where I have her sit and wait and go out. We went out the side the front door. I still had her on lead because there's no way I was going to let her off lead because she would automatically run to that fence line and look for those dogs. So had her on lead. I would ask her to sit and look at me and engage. And then we started walking to a field, a pasture, and she was totally loose leash. I was like really proud of her. We were headed to that field for her to go to the bathroom. So, um, at this point, she still got a pretty full bucket, but I was feeling pretty good that some of it had, emptied out. Well, we come around the corner, and this never happens, ever. But standing in the field in front of us is a coyote. I'm like, Wile E. Coyote of all days for you to come onto the property. So we stood there for a minute, and Mia stood there, and I was just waiting because I knew that this would like be a big deal for her. Um, and the coyote turned and ran off, went through the fence line, and ran across the road onto another property. And I was just thinking, okay, this is it. Not only is there a coyote there, her bucket's already full, um, and it just ran off. And she's a very chase driven dog, um, and I'm waiting for her to just like explode, but she didn't. And I was really really proud of her. So she did her business. Again, we walked inside loose leash, And I thought, okay, I need to do something to keep emptying her bucket. So I gave her and the other dogs a long lasting chew and she laid down and was eating her chew and doing really well. Well, then my husband came into the room, and she likes my husband a lot. And she wanted his attention and to go see him. And so normally she might vocalize to him or something. But she didn't just vocalize like that happening just sent her over the edge, and that little tiny thing put just enough into her bucket that it just exploded. She just exploded like a geyser. um it was amazing, and so she was like screaming and trying to get away from me and get to him, and she really just kind of lost it. And this was such a, if you hear her in the background, she's chewing on a bone. Um, this was just a good example of how, just one little thing could just kind of push your dog over the edge. I knew then that I needed to do something to take care of this, and I was out of other options, and I needed to really do the thing that I probably should have done at the very beginning, except for she needed to go to the bathroom, but she needed to just go rest. So I took her in, I put her into her kennel, and I covered the kennel. First of all, from and she calmed down. So one thing that you need to know about Mia is that in the past, when her bucket has filled, her go-to thing has been biting. She never once tried to bite me, and I was so proud of her because that really shows some progress. Was it perfect? No. She still exploded. She still did things I don't want her doing, but it's progress. And I did have other things that I was really proud of her for the walking loose leash, for being able to empty with small amounts. That was really incredible. But like I said, that rest was really what she needed, to help really empty out her bucket. We call them bucket holidays. And you may find that if your dog has something really big happen, where their bucket fills up, they may need to have that dedicated rest to get them calmed back down. And it can take up to 72 hours sometimes. Now, this stuff that happened to her yesterday morning wasn't that bad, but still did take quite a few hours for her resting to get under control. What do I want to see in the future? A little more self control. But so far, we've come a long way playing the games to what she was before. And I know that over time we can just keep working on this, but that impulse control in the future, I'm really excited to see that happening. So hope this helped you guys. Keep playing.